Oh, hey there, folks. This is Kate Gaffney, your host of Service from Hell, and I'm popping on here to let you know that this is part 1 of 2 with the lovely and hilarious Rachel Green. We could have talked forever and ever and ever, but we were limited, so we went as long as we could, but had to split it into 2 parts so that you could enjoy it over 2 weeks' time. So find Rachel on all of the socials. Rachel's information is going to be in the show notes, and also we stated, as we always do, in the episode, so make sure you find Rachel on all of the socials. But yeah, this is going to be part 1 of 2, so you will hear Rachel this week and next week. So make sure you join us back next week to wrap up this lovely episode. Thank you folks so much for listening. Let's get on with the show. Hey, you're such a trooper. Thank you. Okay.
No problem.
I do this with everyone, but Rachel Green is how I pronounce it, correct?
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody screws up Kirsten's name, poor thing. I'm not Kirsten. I'm not Kristen. I'm Kirsten.
She said that because I asked her, I interviewed her yesterday and I asked her the pronunciation and I got it right. And she was like, no one ever gets it right. I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, she could not stop raving about you.
She's the best. Yeah. All right. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Oh, hi, you're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles, and at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So, let's eat!
Like a rose.
I'd like to welcome our guest, comic, actor, violinist, singer, and VO artist, Rachel Green. Yes, I said the name you know from a very famous show, but this is her actual name. She's not doing a bit. Rachel is the other half of the wildly successful live comedy show in New York City, The Boss Bitch Show, that is also now a podcast. And you will know her from the TV, though, because she's been on a lot of my favorite shows, but one of them was Law and Order SVU, and I'm definitely asking her about that. The Flight Attendant, Inventing Anna, which all of you are obsessed with, just to name a few, and has been described as someone who will make you laugh while reading your energy with a crystal up your butt, which is a great quote. And she would absolutely fit in LA. I better know Rachel from meeting her right now in real time on the podcast as we speak. So Rachel, welcome. Thank you for being here. What got you into comedy? How much fun was SVU? Tell me every fucking detail because I love that show.
Oh my goodness. What an intro. Thank you. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And I actually hated LA at first, and now it's growing on me, and now I kind of want to move there. So,
welcome.
Working on a little bi-coastal.
Hell yeah.
Gosh, comedy. Wow. Well, the long story short, I've been playing violin my whole life. My parents are French horn players, and they were like, don't be poor like us. So I went to school for finance and absolutely hated it, but trudged through. And I did spoken word and thought I was going to be like a national poet and standing on my little soapbox, whatever. And then I was doing singer-songwriter stuff, and I took a singing class that incorporated acting to make the songs more connected and authentic. And then I fell in love with acting. And I was like, oh shit, now I'm an actor. No, now I'm one of these people. Fuck, because I had dated an actor for 3 years, and he was, an actor. Like a bad Shakespearean actor.
No. That's worse. That's worse.
Oh my God. Like, oh my God. And poor thing, he is Puerto Rican and Dominican, so they didn't tend to put him in the lead roles, unfortunately. He's not Denzel. And, I went to see a show of his once, and my friend and I were really stoned, and we walked in late, and it was in the basement of a church. People were asking us if we were there for an AA meeting.
Oh my God.
And when we finally get there and we're watching, and it's like Antony and Cleopatra, and we're watching, and we're like, when is he going to come out? Like, what's happening? And his one line was, Caesar I shall. And he just like completely overacted with his one stupid line. And I'm like, you made me sit through like 2 hours of Shakespeare for one line.
What a good, he must have been so good in bed. Good for you. Like, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, he was great. Like a perfect penis. But anyway. Except when we broke up, I was like, can I just like make a mold of this?
Yeah, that's right, ladies. We get to have those fantasies too. Okay, so you're
Yes.
like, oh, I'm an actor though.
Let me answer your question. So I became an actor, and then I started I got more into. It was like theater, musical theater. I was like an actor, singer, musician, mover, whatever they called it. And then I got more into like TV and film, and then I took some improv, and then I was trying to write a pilot that was about my like sex and dating life, and it was gonna, I dipped my toe into like. I was polyamorous. I was, into, well, I guess I'm still into BDSM, but I'm not like in the scene, but I like to dabble and I've been to Burning Man. And so I was like, there's a lot of like alternative shit that I've experienced that the mainstream person may want to know about in a funny way. So it's going to be like a Broad City Meets Girls. But I'm not a pilot. Thank you. But I'm not a pilot writer. Right. So I sort of hit a wall. I should have taken a class, whatever have you. I'll probably go back to it at some point. But anyway, my friend was like, dude, you have all these like crazy stories. Why don't you just tell them through stand-up? And I was like, fuck stand-up. People are miserable.
I mean, facts, but also.
Yes. And he's like, oh, just take a class. So I took a class at one of the big comedy clubs in New York, shall not be named. And it was, they didn't teach us anything. It was just like a safe space to do jokes, right? And then, I sort of fell in love with it. And I was like, oh, God damn it. Now I'm the other thing though. Oh, I'm a comic now. Shit,
Your poor parents. So, you're like, I'm going worse
they were
than
just
French
like,
horn.
what is happening? Why? And then they, much like with acting, they saw me and they were like, yeah, fuck, you're good. Like, all right. Like, please don't quit your day job though. And I'm like, and I do still have my day job, because because comedy pays you so much money,
You just love to work a lot. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's super fun to be tapped out on everything all the time.
Yeah. So from that, I did meet an awesome woman, Jack the stripper, who's a former stripper and comedian. I met in that class, and we ran a show for 5 years called the Venus Flytrap. And she actually just moved to LA.
Oh.
And yeah. Great people. And and it was a similar theme to the Boss Bitch show in that it's very femme forward, LGBTQ, POC, like pretty much everything except like cis straight white dudes, unless we like you. And
they need
make
help.
An
what are you talking about? They need a platform.
They really need my help. I know.
Poor babies.
My help. Babies. Yeah. So, and Kirsten and I take turns headlining and hosting. And a lot of people have said to us, like, you guys are so great together. Why don't you do something together? And we were like, oh, let's make a podcast. So here we are.
I love it. And so listeners of the podcast of Service from Hell will know Kirsten. She has been on the podcast before, and you will remember her crazy stories of working tangentially to Trump. And so if you haven't listened to that episode, go back. Yeah. Okay. So your combo of the two of you, she had mentioned that you guys sort of met in the circuit of stand up. How did you know that your energies would align? Was it just you guys were cool in the green room and you're like, oh, we're both rad people and here we go? Or did you actually perform together and then decide it?
Well, so we started out, I did her show in the attic of the pit. It was literally like this tiny ass room.
Oh my God.
That got so hot you had to have like a giant fan so you didn't like asphyxiate yourself, and it held maybe like 10 people. It was awesome. It was like, it felt very like avant-garde, like old New York. And she, I don't know, she's very sex positive, I think she maybe told a joke about her labia, and I told a joke about queefing, and we were, it was love at first sight,
Love at first queef labia joke. That's great.
Yeah. And then we became friends, and, we would like do each other's shows and we hung out, and during the pandemic, we got closer as friends. And then, when Jack, when she took a break from comedy, I still wanted to produce, and Kirsten and I started talking, and we were like, oh shit, we should do a show. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how that happened. And we still talk about our labia.
As you should. It's part of your body.
Yeah.
It's like your fingers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have to dive in, and I know it's probably annoying. So 2 things. Does everybody mention your name and they're like, oh my God, from Friends, like, are you that Rachel? Or do people make jokes, and does that bother you? Or are people mostly over that since Friends was 100 years ago?
You know, I'm at peace with it as much as I'm at peace with people talking about my breasts, you know, because both things are very talkable about, if that's a word.
Talk aboutable.
Yeah, it's so funny because when the show first came out, no one said anything. It wasn't until the show like went into syndication that suddenly people were like, and I think I remember the first time it happened to me, I was at a musical theater audition. I could picture it. And they were like, Rachel Green, wow, so familiar. Did we go to school together? And they went through a whole thing, much like I had done with Anne Hathaway at a bar once. And she's so nice. She let me like go down like what school I went to, what camp I went to. And then 10 minutes later, she's like, have you seen The Princess Diaries? And I was like, oh my God.
Bless
You're
her.
a really nice person. Holy shit. Yeah. So, and then eventually they were like, God, I can't place it. Like, why does your name sound so? And I was like, did you watch Friends? And they were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then it just
Snowball.
It kept happening like every time after that. And there was a point where like it literally would happen once a day, every day.
Ugh.
And then, you know, I was kind of like, well, I guess it's a good icebreaker, you know. I don't love when people try to be funny about it because it's like, it's synonymous with like when I go on a date with a man and they try to make me laugh. You know, when you try to be funny, you're not funny, you know, and they'll tell me some stupid joke. And
you're
I'm
like, oh God.
Oh, that was a joke? Yeah. Okay.
Those always end well.
Yeah, women don't do that. No. But,
What? Shocking. Okay. So, and then I have to know, because I'm obsessed with the show. So what was your experience like on SVU, and how can I see you? Because I'm immediately going to watch this episode when we're done recording.
Oh, it was amazing. I'm obsessed with Mariska. I mean,
I love her.
I would like worship at her feet if that was a thing. So it was like season 20.
Oh, so
maybe?
not that long ago. A couple years.
It was like, well, I don't know.
I think they're on 23 or 20. They're on 23 or 20.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
It was definitely pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Like what is time anymore? I don't know.
Hello.
So it was called like Part 13. I can IMDb. I don't know. You could look it up.
I'll look it up. Yeah.
And I'm Rachel Paula Green on IMDb because, you know,
You have to be.
to stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
And also make sure I get paid when I work.
Come on. Come on.
know?
They're like, oh, this is a pseudonym. You're like, no, it's not.
But yeah, it was a very controversial episode amongst the fans.
Oh, I've probably seen it then. Wait, what?
Because it completely went outside of the traditional format. Like, you know how it's normally like, dum-dum, whatever. No, that's the original one. It's like the crime happens.
Yep.
Right? You see the crime, or you see the buildup, you see the crime. Then it goes back to maybe like the crime scene and Olivia and whatever. I wish Stabler, but he wasn't on the show anymore.
Oh, come on, Zaddy. Yeah.
Are you watching Organized Crime?
Girl, you know I'm watching. I've watched every episode.
Oh my God. So my friend Rachel, she works in the office in the whatever that unit is. She's the Asian woman.
Oh, she's so pretty. She's on a lot.
She's gorgeous. She's so funny too. She's like, they make me look like a boy. I'm like, Rachel, you couldn't look like a boy on your worst fucking day.
No,
like, they just pulled your hair back in a ponytail. Shut up.
Yeah, she looks great. Whatever.
And I'm like, you got to be with Chris Maloney every day. Fuck off.
Yeah, really fuck off.
Yeah. But anyway, so this one was a different one because it was, rather than like go investigate the scene and all this stuff, like 80% of the episode took place in the courtroom. So it was more like the old school Law and Order rather than SVU.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything away, but like the whole thing was that the woman who had killed her husband, who was a retired cop who had been abusing her for years, she finally like lost her shit and was like, fuck you, stop abusing me, boom. And Olivia interviews her and she's like, do you regret doing it? And the woman was like, no. And then Olivia was like, really torn up of like, having to swear. I'm the only time that she's ever sworn in. They never do that. But like I got to like put her hand on the Bible. I got to touch her hand.
Oh my God.
So it was like a short and sweet scene. And unfortunately they cut my,
Close up.
Direct to camera, like looking at her. Oh, that show has a really high budget. So they had like a genie, like 30 foot in the air, like to get the above shot. I'm like, this is so gratuitous.
They're like, but we can.
They don't do that shit anymore. I feel like during COVID because like they just want to get you in and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did flight attendant. I was wrapped within like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. Like it wasn't like a long day the way it used to be.
Wow.
Yeah. And same thing with when I did FBI. It was like my call time was like, obnoxious, like 6 a.m. But I was done by like 10:30.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, they're churning and burning.
Yeah, because, there's just so much more regulations and they just want you in and out and less exposure. And yeah, the shows are still good. Like they're not wasting anything. It's fine.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for indulging me because I just love
talking. Like, sure, I love talking about this shit. Yeah,
when people are on the shows that I love, I'm like, yes, it's my favorite. Okay. And then just to wrap up this section. So why are you described as someone who will make you laugh while reading your energy with a crystal up your butt? Are you like you have a spiritual practice, I assume?
So I am a Reiki master.
What?
In between all of that stuff that I told you about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I also became a Reiki master.
Amazing.
And yeah, thank you. And I'm totally into, energy work and all that witchy woo-woo shit and crystals and tarot. And, that's another big way that Kirsten and I connect. And and I'm super intuitive and empathic, almost like to a fault, because I can feel everything.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah. So that's why we sort of said that because, I could definitely,
I love it.
And we're both very interested in the idea of crystal butt plugs. We haven't bought them yet, but
I did not know that was a thing. It's so exciting. I didn't know you could do that.
Well, the first ones that came out, I think were they called it like the yoni egg, right? Which
sure, yeah.
Right,
Goop was selling those for like
your vagina.
Yeah.
Which apparently you have to be really careful because some crystals are like porous and you could get bacteria, so you have to really be careful.
Ooh.
And obviously make sure it's like fully, you can't drop a crystal because then it'll get little cracks and anyway.
Oh shit.
So I haven't done that. But the butthole can take a lot of, the vagina can take a lot too.
beating.
But she's a little more fragile when it comes to the pH balance.
Sure. There's a system down there that's working sometimes to our benefit, sometimes not. Okay. Amazing. Well, you would definitely fit in if you were a bi-coastal human. So come on out here. We need more witchy woo-woo people out here. It's my favorite shit. Okay. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed your apps. We're going to move on to the entrees after a quick break. We are back, and now it is time for the entrees. Okay, Rachel, the way this works is I ask you a bunch of questions, but it's not, I always call them rapid fire. They're not. Please tell stories. And I always start with the same question, but we sort of dip in and out. We have some standards, but feel free to tell all the stories. We're here for it. The audience loves this part. Okay, so what was your first job ever where the government was taking taxes out of your money? So some people say like babysitting, paper route, whatever. But what was one where the government knew you were employed in said position?
I was a cashier at a supermarket.
Yes. Wait, cashier's the most coveted position. Did you start as bagger or you went straight to cashier?
I went straight to cashier. I'm a smart kid. So I was like 14.
Holy shit. At 14, they're letting you deal with money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I did well in school and I guess I interviewed well and yeah, like I was always just like way ahead of myself. I started videotaping weddings with my dad when I was like 10.
Wow.
And babysitting. Yeah, I was like babysitting when I was 10. I mean, it was like always within the neighborhood. So clearly my parents could,
intervene
if anything happened. But yeah. I wanted to be an adult so bad. And right now I wish I was a kid, but
the paradox of existence. Agreed. Okay, so you were a cashier at a supermarket, and did you ever was there a period where you were like, I want to do this forever, or did you love it, or was it like, I'm just doing this to do this?
Ironically, I got promoted to price checker. You would think that would be a demotion.
Yeah,
but it was like, with the gun.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how that worked. No, I did not love it there. I mean, we made the best of it. There were other kids that like I went to school with that worked there as well. And we would like, smoke cigarettes in the break room, and we'd use like these Reese's Pieces, like ice cream things as like hockey pucks, and we would like shoot them down the aisles. And
Yes. Amazing.
I worked in I worked in an ice cream shop, just, yeah, I did all sorts of weird shit because I was just, I wanted to, my parents were never giving me an allowance. They couldn't afford that. So it was always just like, okay, well, if I want to smoke weed, I have to
I gotta get hustling.
make money.
So did they play, because you had mentioned your dad filmed weddings, were they professional French horn players as their actual full income?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, my dad was a Broadway musician for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 years. Unfortunately, most of it was like before I was an age that I could appreciate it. It was like a lot of the 70s and early 80s. And yeah, I wasn't alive for a lot of that too. So yeah, and my mom is, well, now she's semi-retired, but a school teacher. And they met playing in a professional band. Yeah, like back in the day, people appreciated classical music a lot more than they do now.
Sure.
And all around New York City, there's still some of them. They have like band shells. And, now, you'll have like the whatever, more modern day people performing there. But they used to have these like symphonic bands that would come and play, and they would do, a series of like classical stuff, and then they would play like the Fox and the Hound, and the kids would come up and play bird whistles, and then they would have like what do they call it? Oh, they had a Dixieland section where it's like
I love that.
And they'd play that kind of real fun, more like jazzy, big band kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool. And my dad taught privately. My mom teaches privately. So there was a lot of French horn coming out of the basement.
Oh, I bet
some
that got
really
old.
good, some
really not great.
awful.
Yeah. Okay, so was the virtue of you starting work early because they were artists, or was the virtue of you starting work early just because, I know you said you wanted to be an adult, but like, did your family also encourage like, hey, you need to get out there and start the hustle? Or were you like, I want to start the hustle?
It was probably a little bit of everything. It was probably like my parents just couldn't afford to give me an allowance. Like I grew up in a neighborhood that was like middle class, but the school district had very rich kids as well. And when I was in elementary school, I was like friends with them. And, so I wanted to, do the things that they were doing.
Of course.
Like I had to like wait to like inherit my cousin's Nintendo and, her Barbies and shit. And, now I tell jokes about it. It's fine. I'm resourceful as fuck. So, I mean, I guess it all pays off in the end. But yeah, I think they did encourage me also, like, girl, you got to go out there and get it kind of thing. But also I was just kind of, I wanted money. I wanted to buy clothes. And probably that's what it started. Like when you're 10, I wasn't like smoking pot when I was 10. I think I wanted clothes, maybe candy. And then, by the time I was like 14, I was like, I want to smoke weed. And
so I need to get access to that. So, yeah.
Sneak some alcohol. Oh, yeah.
Good for you.
Long Island, man.
I was just going to say, you sound like you're from New York proper. So that's good. Okay.
I used to talk like this.
Did you really? I love it.
I did. I used to, it was like, it was actually like a little bit more chola at one point.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who the fuck you talking to. Like, whatever. What are you looking at? Whatever. Mind your fucking business, bitch.
Wait, I love that.
And
That's
like,
so familiar.
And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm white. I don't need to talk like that.
But it's a cultural influence thing. I don't think you were hijacking. You were just like, this is what I grew up around.
That's what I was doing. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about,
Oh my God, I love it.
So it was like very kind of, it was like Long Island meets, like kind of like, I love coming into the city a lot. And I have my baggy jeans and my nails, and I have my big door knocker earrings and my red lipstick.
Wait, if I straight up close this, I can tell you do VO work. If I straight up closed my eyes, I can see that character. Like I see her top to bottom. I've met her. I've hung out with her. She's a really good time. Like that's such a solid voice of yours. I love it. Okay, so what?
Oh, thank you. Wait, I'll show you a picture.
Oh, I can't wait. So what transitioned you out of using that voice though? Was there a point when you were like, I gotta quit this?
I don't really know when the exact. Oh wait,
This way.
Oh,
What? Oh, audience, I wish you could see this photo. You're gonna have to send me that. That's gonna be the picture for the episode. I am deceased. That is the best. You were committed. You and your white ass.
I was like, don't fuck with me. I'm gonna get my crew. We gonna come fuck you up. You know, he's talking to them.
Oh my God. So what was the moment when you were like, I gotta stop this?
I think it gradually, I don't know, probably like as I progressed, the real heavy chola phase was like 12 to 14, 15.
Oh, okay.
I was also way ahead of myself sexually. I was really curious. You know, I had older friends. I found my dad's porn when I was 8. So I was like, I just wanted to experience everything like right away.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably by the time I was like 16, I think, you know, that started to go away a little bit. I still was sassy as fuck, but
Sure. But so were you checking or cashiering people at the grocery store with that voice?
no, I think I was pretty, I think I could like
Dip in and out.
I was always pretty savvy and, you know, my mom was always very much into like appropriateness, you
Sure.
know, so I don't think I was like, yo, your total is $16.99. Have a nice day, bitch, you know.
I would love it. I'm dead.
It would have been really funny though.
Yes. And it honestly, if I were at at the grocery store and you were talking to me like that, I'd be like, oh, you're just going to stand here and watch her interact with other humans. Like, this is amazing. Okay. So how many customer service jobs would you say you've had total? And I would argue comedy, acting. I'd say that stuff is customer service. It's a version of it. So how many have you personally had?
Well, let's see. I videotaped weddings for a very long time. Cashier, ice cream shop, babysitter. Oh my God, in college, I like transcribed a psychologist's recordings.
Ooh.
I guess that's so weird.
Oh, I
Like,
bet.
Inappropriate. I was
Yeah.
like, why am I listening to these people's personal shit? Like, in hindsight, it's probably not great. Done a lot of like administrative work.
Same.
I'm an executive assistant still to this day. I worked at BMW motorcycles once. That was fun.
Oh, is
like,
that
in college.
sexy?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. It was
No.
like the insurance part of it. But but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a fucking BMW bike and I'm gonna ride around. Yeah. I could have afforded the bike because they had like a leasing plan.
Sure.
But I was so young that the insurance would have been more than the bike itself.
Oh, not worth it.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So,
then you know.
so you do the EA
so
stuff
I don't
now?
know.
Like
I didn't count. But
okay. Well,
a
that
lot.
was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 that we've 7 if we or 8 if we include comedy that's been acknowledged. But I would assume myriad under those. There's a
Oh
little
yeah, I bartended at
Ooh.
one point.
Okay.
Didn't last very long because I like drinking.
Makes it a little hard to do that job. Understand.
Oh, I did have Reiki clients.
Yeah. That is for sure
yeah.
customer service. Okay. All right. Well, we could round it off at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, you round it off at 10, but you've probably had more than that, but we'll say a solid 10. Okay.
Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
All right. What was your favorite of all of those jobs? And obviously comedy and like, that's great. And you know, we're not including your current position. So you're not coming for your current job, but what was your favorite of those?
No. Probably a tie between the Reiki master stuff and bartending. Yeah.
Really? But you only bartended for...
I only bartended for like 6 months. I loved it. And I'm still to this day fascinated with mixology. I mean, I love the craft of it, the chemistry, the science. I'm like, ooh. And like, you know, there's just so many ways to craft an amazing cocktail. But like anything else, you had to apprentice.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, fuck, another thing when I have to like lift kegs up a flight of steps, like to earn my key. I can't apprentice at one more thing in life. Because I, you know, with the acting and everything, like I didn't go to Yale or Juilliard, you know, I took classes in New York City and, you know, did that kind of shit. So I was like, I can't work my way up from nothing for one more thing, even though I went ahead and ended up doing that with comedy.
But, oh, got it. No one's ever said that before. And I resonate so hard with I just can't apprentice at one more thing in life. Like, it's soul sucking at a certain point.
Yeah. And, once I realized like I actually really do enjoy comedy and it's fulfilling in a lot of ways, even though it can really suck in a lot of ways. I was like, okay, you need to just stop with this, like learning something new, and trying something new.
You got to quit with this effort.
I dedicated like 13 years of my life to fucking musical theater and had some really amazing experiences. But, I just was exhausted. Like the audition process was such a bitch, and waking up early and going and standing on line and then, my whole bullshit. And the bitches curling their hair in the corner. And, oh my God. Like, I just don't miss that at all.
Yeah, that hustle's specific. And yeah. Did you have any like nepotistic ins because your dad was, being a Broadway musician? Nothing. Not a drop. Okay.
Not even a little bit.
That's annoying.
Not even a little bit. No. Yeah. Yeah. And my dad phased out by like, I think it was, I don't know, mid 80s. Right?
Oh, okay. So you were removed from that.
Yeah. And he's like a real humble dude, even though he's like brilliant at it. So yeah, I don't think even though he like worked with like, Patti LuPone and Raul Julia, like I don't think he would like call them up, Yeah, he's got some really cool stories.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your least favorite, or what is your least favorite of all of the customer service jobs you've had?
The weddings at the end got really grueling. And at that point, I had seen so many people who were not actually in love. I was like, if I do this anymore, I am going to be so damn cynical and I'm never going to get married. And so I stopped. Yeah.
I literally wrote down, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to try and work it in. I was like, how many weddings did you go to that you were like, this is going to end in divorce? I literally wrote that down as a question. So what good transition. It's like we scripted it. Did you see weddings where you were like, this couple's not going to last?
Oh my God. Yeah. And I knew I was going to tell you this story somehow. So it's all perfect. We did this one wedding where the groom's brother and the bride's brother were so wasted, they got in a fist fight.
Oh.
And it was a very extravagant wedding. It was beautiful. And they had those glass vases with like the marbles and the orchids and, like really tall. And one of them got knocked over. So there's water and there's marble and there's glass and they're like in fisticuffs. And then the groom got so drunk, tried to make out with me.
No, ma'am.
I mean, it was just like such a shit show. Yeah.
So you see this all happen.
I'm sure that marriage didn't last.
Oh no, they're doing great. They're healthy. It sounds like not toxic at all. Yeah. So how did you avoid getting kissed by the intoxicated cheating groom?
A little. Oh, I saw it coming. Because when you're sober and someone's drunk, they're moving way slower than you.
That's right.
So I kind of I think he was like thanking me for something, and he was clearly like slurring, and like he went in to like give me a kiss, like as a thank you.
Yeah.
And I saw like, oh, he's coming for the mouth, so I just kind of turned your head. But
good Lord. Oof. Okay, so you're seeing these fights happen. How are you as the videographer? Like, I would have been real tempted to start filming the chaos. So what?
So I looked at my dad and I was like, "Can we tape this?" And he's like, "No, we don't want to get sued." And I was like, "Okay, fine."
It would have been real hard.
There were so many times that we were like, "Oh man, fucking America's Home Video."
Oh well, yeah, or like a wedding blooper thing, or like you could have been huge on YouTube of just like this just happened at the wedding last night. Okay.
Yeah, there were two more that I could tell you about.
I'm ready for them. Tell me.
Okay. So one of them, I don't want to call her elderly, but a much older woman caught the bouquet. And a much younger child caught the garter.
Aww.
Also that practice is so
disgusting,
heteronormative and disgusting.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know, an 8-year-old kid and like a 70-year-old woman. I mean, it just was, so nobody knew what to do. So the still photographer, he puts out a chair for her because that was, the tradition is she sits down. Yeah. He puts the garter up her leg. And we're all like, this isn't happening, right? Right? I don't know what to do. What are we doing? So he puts out the chair and then he pulls it away. And then he puts out the chair again. And then he pulls it out. And then she goes to sit down and just smashes her ass on the floor. And we're all like,
what a dick. What an absolute asshole.
No, like he didn't know, like he didn't do it on purpose. It was one of those things like he was a sweet dude. He literally was just really awkward and didn't know what to do. And I think when he went to pull it out, he like turned.
Oh no.
And she happened to sit down. Like it wasn't on purpose at all. Like and then he was like, oh my God. And of course he was like super apologetic and like scared, you know.
Oh my God. So did the little kid end up giving a lap dance to the grandma?
No.
Like what happened?
I think everyone just agreed, okay, this is really awkward. We need to like move on to let's cut the cake. Okay, great. And speaking of cake, my dad had designed this like giant cart, right? Where it was like wheelchair wheels and like wood. And so it would have like a wheelchair battery and a monitor and like this column that went up and down. So like it was like studio quality, but also portable, right? And it was like a super VH camera, really big, like, you know, gigantic camera. Right? But it like the weddings were gorgeous. They came out really nice. And so he would do that. And I would have like the little more like high 8 camera. And I would get like the cutaways and, you know, go in the back rooms and get all the cool shit.
Yeah.
And one day he was like, I guess he was just like really engaged in whatever he was getting. Maybe like the father and the daughter were dancing or whatever. And he's backing up and he's backing up and he's backing up. And I'm seeing this, but I'm across the room. And obviously I can't yell because they're in the middle of the dance. My dad backed up directly into the cake.
Oh my God. Did he knock it down?
No, but like half of it was on the back of his tuxedo.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Were they like furious?
They were, I think we all kind of laughed at it. I mean, the bride was kind of annoyed, but she was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, roll with it.
Like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Did you? Okay.
If anything, my mom was more pissed that like
she had to clean the tux.
To, like, send it to the dry cleaner like 3 times before it looked normal again.
She's like, we're losing money on this investment here. Okay, so
it's like, what the hell?
My sister's friend is a wedding planner, and he has a theory that has proven 100% true for him. So I'm wondering if you noticed this too. He said that during the cake exchange of the feeding each other cake, which is such an odd thing, he said in his experience of planning weddings, 100% of the time, if the couple smashes the cake in each other's face, they end up divorced. And if they feed it to each other lovingly, they've stayed together. That's been his. I mean, granted, I don't know in 2022 if that's still true, but that was true. That's proven his theory. Did you notice any of that where you're like, oh, if they smash the cake in each other's faces, they're not happy?
No, sometimes it was cute. That's an interesting theory. I mean, I never saw the people ever again after. Oh,
I guess that's a great point too. Yeah.
You know, yeah, I feel like there were people who would do it like vengefully.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, you know, and like he doesn't care. Like, and he's getting cake all over this like really expensive dress she's wearing. And but then other times, like, I don't know, it's kind of like they were playful about it.
Sure.
But yeah, the feeding, I guess, is better.
Was there anything?
Cute.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just picturing like the cute feeding. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see that.
There are cute moments. Was there ever an incident at the weddings where you were like, "Get me the fuck out of here"? I mean, I assume the fisticuffs experience was probably not super, didn't feel great. But was there ever a wedding where you're like, "I want this to be done right now"?
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of the time, and eventually I would just drink.
Of course. Yeah.
Like my dad and I would go like smoke weed during the cocktail hour and then we'd come back. And like, especially if it was a catering hall where we knew the staff, they'd be like sneaking me drinks and stuff. There were a couple of bridezillas for sure. And and oftentimes we just like always had to go through the kitchen because like, we were the hired help and God forbid we should be seen walking through the front door. And
so ridiculous.
So just like really, being next to a dumpster and lugging like, 50 pounds of shit up like, flights of steps and just being like, wait, why are we doing this? And like, ugh.
Yeah.
But there were some like, some pretty cool ones. There was one where the couple like was genuinely like so sweet, so in love. And their giveaway, which we got to keep as well, was like a beautiful mahogany box with a rose quartz crystal, a candle and like a scroll of their like expression of their love. I lost my shit.
I would have
was like,
too.
I think I like was actually crying at their ceremony. It was so beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing.
wow. So can you, going back to because that's positive and great, but I want to hear about the bridezillas.
I want to hear the shitty ones.
Yeah. Tell me what's an example of like something you went through with a bridezilla?
Well, this is actually just kind of funny, but I feel like I have this recollection. I mean, I didn't see it, but apparently there was one where this bitch was so tight, literally, was just so that her maid of honor had to give her like an enema so she could shit, like because she was so tense.
Oh my God. Bless her. On her wedding day, had to give her an enema?
On her fucking wedding day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like in the bathroom for a while, and we're all like, I think there was always like a certain timing, especially if it was done at a catering hall. It was like, okay, great, it's a 5-hour affair, and from this time to this time we have a cocktail hour, and then we go, and then we have them walk in the room, and then you have the first dance, and then there's the appetizer or the salad, and then there's dancing, and then eventually there's the garter and the bouquet, and then there's the cake, and then let's dance the last dance, and then you leave and you shoot yourself.
You fuck a bridesmaid, whatever.
Yeah, and I think they were like waiting to do the bouquet or something, and she's not coming out. We're like, what the fuck? And then they were like, yeah, I think she's got an animal in the bathroom. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah.
The level of friendship.
Nothing. It was like, she was just one of those people that like nothing you could do would be right. Everything you did was wrong. Yeah. It was like, she didn't like the angle of something. She didn't like the way we're interviewing people. She didn't like where we placed ourselves in the church. It was just no one did anything right.
That's such a lonely life, because that doesn't just, that's not her only experience where nothing is right. I feel like people like that, it's like everything is wrong 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. And, on some level I get like, look, it's your special day, right? And a lot of people have dreamed about this since they were kids and whatever. And so, when things are not what you ordered, like I get that, but like also like enjoy the day. Make it work.
You get to do it once in theory. Like,
in theory.
Yeah,
you hope.
Statistically, it's not in your favor to only do it once, but whatever. Okay, and what's like the weirdest thing that happened at any of your jobs, but maybe specifically like the wedding thing that you can think of? Besides, I mean, again, a fist fight where shit was getting broken, pretty intense. But was there anything else that was super odd?
Odd? I mean, we did a lot of Greek weddings, and even though I'm not Greek, I look Greek to a lot of people.
Yeah, you do. You 100% do.
Yeah, and especially my hair is normally curly too. So, and in the summertime, I get more tan, and so oftentimes, like the best man or one of the groomsmen would just decide that they wanted me to dance with them, and I would just have to stop doing my job and dance with them, do traditional Greek dances. And my dad was like, "Well, they're paying us. If that's what they want to pay for, then like you go dance with them."
So awkward.
So many times I was young and hot, and I guess and a lot of times I got pulled on the dance floor, and
they're like, we need this videographer's ass out here getting people hyped. Here we go.
Yeah. And I was the one that like, go interview people. So you would like get to know them. And, I was always a comedian in my heart, probably. You know? So I was charming and whatever. And or like if we did like the black weddings and they would have like
Soul Train.
Just like, I can't think of it. But those songs where it's like, there's a routine that goes along with it.
Cha-cha slide.
Everybody clap your hands. The cha-cha slide and, whatever have you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the electric slide.
Sure.
And they'd be like, come on, do it with us. And I'd be like, okay.
That would be fun, actually. I wouldn't hate that. But it's awkward.
Yeah, no, that was actually fun. But as far as odd, actually what comes to mind, when I worked at the ice cream shop, bless his heart, the owner was really sweet, but he was an alcoholic and a pothead. And one day he locked himself in the freezer by accident. And so...
Oh my God.
So they had to like, I don't know, I think they had to like, he was in there for a while because, it was either me or my friend Jamie. And I think neither of us was there. And poor thing. Yeah. Bless. I hope he's still alive. I don't know.
Wait, did he end up with like hypothermia or anything? Like, did he have to go to the hospital?
No, I think it was only like 2 hours. So he was just really cold, you know?
Oh my God. And so was he just like banging and somebody finally heard him?
Okay, folks, that's going to do it for us here at Service from Hell tonight with part 1 with Rachel Green. Join us next week for part 2, where she comes back and wraps up the rest of her insane stories from her time working in customer service and also from her time being on set and being a comic. She has a lot more to bring to this table, so make sure you join us next week for part 2.